Al, let's dip back into International NBA All-Star Snub Day. I want to highlight the Sacramento Kings. 27-19, fifth in the West. They have a great podcast that covers them, the Deuce and Mo pod. Go check that out. It's great. They did not get an All-Star. Al, all the teams in the top 8 of the Eastern Conference got an All-Star. All of the teams. The only teams in the West in the top 9 that didn't get an All-Star are the Kings and the Pelicans. And you take a look at the Pelicans, and they've got, like, Brandon Ingram is probably the one that you'd argue the most who has played. Yeah. He's played in 44 games, but he's like 21, 5-5. You can say, like, okay, like I get, like, who would you take off of there? Like, his numbers are not quite as good as Karl-Anthony Towns' numbers. And so it's like, okay, fine. Zion Williamson's actually played 38 games this season. Only one less than Devin Booker. But, like, the stats really aren't there with him either, with 22, 5-4. It's like, okay, I get it. But the Kings, you look at the numbers and you're like, what? Some of the numbers are insane. Domas Sabonis in the month of January was 20, 14, and 9. He is first in total rebounds in the league, and he is 6th in total assists this season. He's had an unbelievable year. He has more assists than the following players: Harden, LeBron, Lillard, Brunson, Shea, Booker, Giannis, Maxey, Austin Reeves. More assists than all of those guys. He's had a really, really great year so far. And De'Aaron Fox, too. De'Aaron Fox has been better. You know, De'Aaron Fox has hit more threes this season than he did already, than he did of all of last season. Like,
in his career, he's already at a career high through half
a career high for threes made in a season. He's there already, and we're only halfway through the season. Shout out Deuce and Mo for that stat. I don't understand giving so many teams 2 All-Stars. The Suns, Lakers, Wolves, and Clippers all got 2, and you can't give the Kings 1. And so and now it becomes like, okay, great. We've established the Kings deserved an All-Star. Who doesn't make it? And the team I turn to, to me, if you're going to get 2 All-Stars, your team has to earn it. Maybe you disagree with this, but I think your team has to earn it. So I just don't think the Lakers deserve 2 All-Stars.
Well, who are you taking off then, Andrew? Who are you taking off?
Well, I mean, I think Anthony Davis has had an amazing season, but just legacy-wise, you're not taking LeBron off.
Andrew, you wanted to pick Anthony Davis for a half season Defensive Player of the Year last week, and now you're kicking him off the All-Star team?
You know what? Speaking out of both sides of my mouth here, Al, and I am. I'm taking him off. I'm putting Domas Sabonis there because I think you need to reward winning. And that happened in the Eastern Conference. Like, every single team in the top 8 got at least 1 All-Star.
Yeah.
And in the West, it's these, like, big power names that got, that became All-Stars. And I get it. I get why. I mean, you look at Devin Booker and Kevin Durant's numbers, and it's like, can you really say that you can't, have both those guys in the All-Star game? I totally get it. But I think what Domas has done, like, he's had he was an All-Star last year. He was All-NBA last year. Like, he's got these accolades that are supposed to, like, kind of help propel you to make more All-Star games. And, like, for whatever reason, it just didn't happen this year. And it's the coaches that didn't vote him in. And it's, to me, it's a little bit crazy because he has had an All-Star type of year. And it may all be moot, here in a couple weeks when guys are not going to play in the game and, guys get called up. I'm sure that Domas is going to be one of the first guys called up, to be in this game. But, like, if you're like, the Wolves probably earned 2. Like, I know a lot of people would say, like, Towns would be the first one you take off. I actually think the Wolves needed 2. They're at the top of the Western Conference. They've earned it. Phoenix, like I said, Phoenix has been really good lately. Great. Give them 2. The Clippers have been amazing. Give them 2. But it's the Lakers haven't earned 2 All-Stars. They have 2 great players who have been good. They won the in-season tournament. Very cool. But the rest of their season has been strange. Like, the thing you think about the Lakers right now is just like emojis. they didn't deserve 2 All-Stars. Give the Kings an All-Star. This is to me, that was just garbage that they did not get an All-Star.
Yeah. I mean, I would agree. I don't know if I would have taken off Anthony Davis because I don't like making it too much about team success. I mean, I get that you wouldn't want to pick Cade Cunningham. Let's say Cade Cunningham was having a great year, but they had their exact same record. You wouldn't want a player like that on a team that bad to be in the All-Star game. But like if OKC had won that game against Minnesota last week or this week, I guess it was on Monday, like they would have been the number 1 seed. I wouldn't have felt like they needed 2 All-Stars. Like the West is just absolutely loaded. And so if I was going to take someone off, it would be Karl Anthony Towns, and I would be putting a King there. I will say, De'Aaron Fox, he did have a quote that he would love to not go because he just wanted to stay home and do something else.
I don't mind
respect.
Fox there. Fox has had like a better shooting season, but I don't know that he's had like a better overall season.
Yeah.
So I just think dismissing Sabonis is really wrong. Like it's for I don't know what the reason was that he didn't make it, and I'm sure that he was like just there on the edge. But to me, I feel it feels weird giving a 500 team 2 All-Stars. That's all.
It does, but I just think that this is the makeup of the Western Conference. Like once KD got traded from the East to the West,
yeah,
you already have LeBron moving from East to West a few years ago.
Yeah.
There are certain guys in this league that are just going to be locked into the All-Star no matter what, as long as they're healthy. Kawhi's that way too. And Kawhi moved from East to West. Like you had this huge transition over these last 5 years of all these superstars moving from the East to the West. And so I think this is just like the inevitable conclusion to that, because you go to the Eastern Conference and like you could find some names. Like if this was in the East, you would probably feel pretty good about saying like, oh yeah, I could see Sabonis making it over Paolo, or I could see Sabonis making it.
Yeah, the East is a totally different conversation. It's much easier to make the All-Star team in the East. It just is.
And the funny thing is, they're definitely going to get 2 more All-Stars, probably, because Embiid will be out and Julius Randle will be out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So someone like a Scotty Barnes or Trae Young, like
Trae Young's probably going to make it. They're 7 games below 500, but you know that's the East. And like I get it. It's the West is insane. I get it, but I do think that like being top 5. That's why like being top 5 in the Western Conference it's even harder to do.
Yeah,
it's tough.
Yeah.
You don't get an All-Star. It's
Jamal Murray is legitimately probably never going to make an All-Star game. It's going to be so hard for him to do it.
He's on the snub list, but I can't make as strong of an argument for him.
Yeah, he would need like LeBron signing somewhere else this summer. Like that would take away one spot. Like you would need like big names moving off of the team, because there's just no spots.
No, and he frankly just hasn't had an All-Star level season. That's just been like,
even though he's been really good and the Nuggets have been really good. Like
he's good. Like he's a really good player, but when you look at all the other guards, I mean, you can't argue him over Devin Booker.
No, I also think this is a function of the offensive explosion. There's going to be more All-Star worthy candidates nowadays than there would have been 10 years ago. I mean, there used to be some goofy All-Stars, like guys who would get in as the last guy.
Some of that was because of position too, that you had to include.
True.
That you have like Chris Kaman and Jamal McGlure and like
Chris Kaman.
Yeah, Chris Kaman made an All-Star game. He made an All-Star.
He did. Forgot about that until right this moment. Yeah, that was special.
That was special.
Well, I'm sorry, Andrew, but I feel like if there is going to be a replacement and it's not Sabonis, then you can come back on and get really mad. But I would say don't.
So raging mad whenever it's like Gobert or somebody that gets the call.
It'll be Şengün, and you'll be blowing smoke out of your ears.